At Ipswich Ale, it's pretty clear they're serious about beer.
That looks good. In these tanks, we have 1,000,000 12-ounce beers.
They've been brewing and bottling some of the region's best suds for a quarter of a century. And after all those years of just making beer, they decided to open up a restaurant adjacent to the brewery, where you can sip over some serious eats.
You can see into the restaurant from up on this deck, and the restaurant can certainly see you back.
And they call it the Brewer's Table.
The Brewer's Table is our front door. We're a production brewery. We enjoy producing beer and putting in bottles and getting it out into the marketplace. However, we have a place where people can come in, they can see the entire brewing process from inside a full-service restaurant that does great food pairings with great beer.
Ipswich Ale president Rob Martin, along with general manager Miles Eason, have created a space that's part restaurant, part bar, and part brewery tour, with windows overlooking their production facility.
My favorite thing to see is a table gets seated and they're not at their table for the first 10 minutes. Their personal effects are somewhere around, but they're still looking through all the windows and seeing if there's people working or tasting or being scientific or making beer right in front of them. Starting from right when you walk in the door, the building was laid out so that you would see the entire process from grain to glass while you're in the restaurant.
And when they're not serving beer from their one-of-a-kind draft system, they're working it into their cuisine.
We have a number of dishes that incorporate the beer, and Miles does a great job pairing the different meals with different beers.
We marinate with the beer, we steam with the beer, we have beer in our dressings, you name it, we use it.
So there's pale ale beer brats with German sauerkraut, braised potatoes, pumpernickel bread, and Ipswich Ale mustard. And Maine mussels steamed in a dry stout and served with a grilled baguette, perfect for dipping in the addictive broth.
Our biggest problem we have is we cannot serve enough bread. Everybody's squeegeeing and sopping up constantly. It's a great dish.
The Cheddar Ale Soup is satisfying, spiked with grilled kielbasa and sautéed Granny Smith apples.
Just the Cheddar Ale Soup alone is fantastic, but when you put in the kielbasa and the Granny Smiths, it really pops.
And if you just want to pop, you can sample some suds when you order a flight tower.
They're 5-ounce glasses, so you really can taste all the beers here in a pretty quick fashion, and they look great on the table as well.
Beyond the beer, there are plenty of apps that pair perfectly with whatever you're drinking, like the hearty pot roast poutine served in a skillet and 2 different types of egg rolls, a Thanksgiving version with turkey and stuffing served in a cranberry duck sauce for dipping, and another that will take your palate out to the ballgame.
It's sweet Italian sausage. We cook it exactly the same way as you would at a street vendor. It's all flat top griddled with peppers and onions. Roll it up. We have a nice stadium brown mustard, and I challenge you to not hear the crack of the bat if you eat one of those egg rolls with a dip of mustard on it.
Entrees are equally impressive with pasta dishes like the ultra-hearty bison boar bolognese and the creamy, dreamy lobster farfalle. There's the overloaded BT fish stew, featuring a big bowl of scallops, mussels, calamari, haddock, salmon, and andouille sausage in a tomato saffron broth, and a trio of shepherd's pie.
I've always liked shepherd's pie, but me personally, I get bored after about 3 bites. So my idea was to use smaller 4-ounce ramekins and to fill each one with a different filling and to top it with a different potato. We use a purple sweet potato. Under that, there's lamb and carrots. I have an orange sweet potato that has turkey and peas. And lastly, there's a Yukon Gold that has beef and corn.
There are sandwiches like the lobster, Gouda, bacon, and tomatoes served on ciabatta, and the patty melt, a dish that's nostalgic for Miles.
Growing up in Gloucester, there was a great Friendly's there, and I was a slave to that patty melt.
So he's taken that childhood Friendly's favorite and amped it up for adults.
Everyone has a burger, but the patty melt, we get that thing all juicy on the flat top griddle, press it down, melt the cheese, tomatoes, pickles, yellow mustard. It's a fantastic burger.
And if you want to keep the nostalgia going right through dessert, order this 21+ float, made with Ipswich Ale's Oatmeal Stout.
The Oatmeal Stout float allows an adult to take you back a little bit, plus have another one of our great beers.
And when you can pair such great beer with such fun food, it's easy to see why everybody wants a seat at Ipswich Ale Brewer's Table.